Okay, let's get back to this story. Polls show Americans are saying to Washington and local elected officials, it's time to grow up, stand up. Americans are fed up. The woke breaking point is now. They're done with the bullying, done with the rioting, done with the violence, done with the lawlessness that has seen 24 shot dead, numerous police officers attacked, businesses attacked. It's quite a different thing to do peaceful protests under the Constitution. This is outright violence. Americans are done with the attacks on monuments to those who fought slavery. They're sick and tired of politicians putting rhetorical attacks and lawlessness ahead of lawmaking. They're sick with the political left hijacking the national conversation with outrageous, demonstrably wrong generalizations about who Americans are and how they think, leading to ludicrous proposals to defund police that even Democrats call absurd. Let's welcome the president's point person on reform, helping the African American community. He is Deputy Assistant to the President. We welcome Jaron Smith. It's great to have you on this show, sir. First, your reaction to all of this.
Well, let me tell you this, it's not the right way to go. We want to bring the country together. It's about taking law enforcement and community leaders and police and healing our country. And the leaders are just throwing fuel on the fire by not trying to come up with ideas and using this moment in time to bring both sides together. And shame on Chuck Schumer, shame on Nancy Pelosi for doing directly the opposite, forming wedges between communities and police when some of these communities need the police the most.
You know, what do you think of the debate about the reform bills pushing through the House right now versus the Senate? The Senate has the reform bill. What's your take on what's going on?
Well, I think the House bill is, for one, something that never was going to pass. It's similar to what the Democrats did with the Kennedy clause. It's just a messaging bill to say they did something. If anyone knows that's worked in Congress, if you really want to get something done, you have to do it in a bipartisan way. You have to do something in a way that the Senate can work on it and take that bill up. And the Senate opened up the conversation by creating a bipartisan vehicle. All they had to do was get on the bill and consider it. The Democrats could have amended that bill with over 20 different amendments and got something really good done. And then when the Senate leads on some of these things, it usually passes the House because of the bipartisan considerations that's in the rules.
Interesting. You know, reports are coming in. Hundreds of U.S. Marshals and National Guard now on the move nationwide to stop the attack on national monuments. Looking at a live shot of what's going on in D.C. At 7 p.m., protesters said they were going to topple that monument, the Abraham Lincoln Emancipation Monument in Washington, Jaron. But it looks like, again, this is a live shot. It looks like it's not happening. Did the president's promise to send in the Guard, is that working? What do you think?
I think it's definitely working because at the end of the day, we got to have a civil conversation in a civil society and a nation of laws. If you want to take action, there's ways to do it. That's the beautiful thing about America. You know, we can make consensus and make decisions as a country. This right here is lawlessness and anarchy, and it doesn't even represent people from the community. Let me tell you this. I live in Southeast D.C., and many of those individuals are looking for jobs and opportunity, and that's what we're focused on. Bringing the country back from recovery from COVID and bringing our whole country back to prosperity.
You know, Jaron, the Constitution says peaceful assembly. That's quite a different thing than the rioting, the looting, 24 now shot dead, rioters attacking businesses. Seattle, businesses and taxpayers and workers and residents now suing the elected officials of Seattle. And suing the city, saying, listen, you supported the rioters, you gave them public restrooms, barriers, medical supplies. You didn't listen to us, the people who pay your salaries, Jaron, the businesses and taxpayers who got attacked and shut down, and the police couldn't even come into the autonomous zone to help them. Your take on what happened there?
Yeah, well, what I would say is pay attention to history. You know, my parents all were in the riots of the 60s, and those neighborhoods is what I inherited growing up that looked the same way since the riots. If we want to rebuild our country and bring it together and create prosperity, this is the wrong way to do it. And it's unfortunate because we need leadership in these localities, and luckily we have a president like Donald Trump that's willing to go into these communities. We spent a lot of time in many of these communities around the country, went to over 60 different cities, and we're willing to go back in the right way that brings the country together, focusing on jobs and opportunity and, most important, community safety.
You know, Jerome, it's interesting what you just said, that you grew up after the aftermath of the 60s and early 70s riots. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. And I can tell you it's a neighborhood in Cleveland called Huff, and they had the Huff riots. And my dad tells me about that. And that neighborhood looked that way, just torn apart and burned almost 30, 40 years. I think it was just now recently they started revitalizing that community.
Yeah, and you see that in Detroit. You see it in other localities where it takes generations for the scars of the rioting and looting to heal these communities. It's interesting what you just said. You've worked with the president on his executive action on police reform, also with Senator Tim Scott. You've worked on criminal justice reform with the president. Can you talk to us about that?
You know what, a key part about that was the president met with the families and he met with law enforcement, and we got consensus on what's the best way to move our country forward. We focused on standards for policing. We focused on creating a database for cops who've had bad behavior. And we also focused on co-responder services, something that's much needed. And we're going to continue to do that work. We're going to continue to use our executive power to bring the country together and leverage that executive order to create better community and police relationships. But on top of that, bring back prosperity through opportunity.
Yeah, Jerome, you wonder, will the president pick up Senator Tim Scott and the Republican bill and just move further on executive action based on that, sort of like President Obama did with DACA? What do you think?
I mean, look, we're going to do all we can do administratively as far as the law could take us. But we certainly can use our convening power because, look, it's all about local communities. The federal government is only just a partner, and we can use our leadership ability to bring both sides together. And we're doing that. We're talking to police chiefs. I've met with the Attorney General. He started talking to many police chiefs. We're talking to ministers and leaders of the community. People want to come together and resolve their issues. And it's going to take leadership, and the president is willing to step up and do just that.
You know, we keep hearing analysts and polls show America, we've been studying this for years now, America is not a racist country. It is not racist. And so that thinking, that line of thought has to stop. In other words, this hijacking by the left of the national conversation and commandeering it with sweeping generalizations that are wrong, hijacking the conversation has to stop. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina blasted Democrat elected officials running cities, calling them out from the Senate floor. Watch this.
You know, here's the truth. In Detroit, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, all these cities could have banned chokeholds themselves. They could have increased the police reporting themselves. They could have more data information themselves. They could have de-escalation training themselves. They could have duty to intervene themselves, Minneapolis as well. All these communities have been run by Democrats for decades.
Your final word, Jerome.
That's exactly right. Since day one of this administration, I was hired to be the urban affairs and revitalization policy person. And President Trump knew from day one that we needed to fix this problem of the inner cities. And we've been to over 60 cities. And that's what we've seen from some of these Democratic leaders, not willing to engage, to fight for the very people that they claim to represent. And what they do, whenever the pressure's up, they use race and then don't even take accountability for the cities that they control. And they blame us for it. But we're not going to settle for that. We're going to actually work with these communities, in the communities, and bring change.
Jerome, you've been terrific. Will you come back to the show? We appreciate
Sure.
your perspectives and insight there, Jerome. Come back
Thanks
soon.
so much,
Great to have
Liz.
you on.
You have a good one.